Welcome to the middle 10 days of Ramadan. This is the period in which people fall into the Ramadan trap. And it is essentially why your training, whether it be for jiu-jitsu or the gym, or just in terms of your spiritual development, is about to fail. We're going to address that in this video. If you're watching this, that means you survived the first 10 days of Ramadan. Your body has acclimated physically. The fatigue has begun to subside if it hasn't already completely. The end of Ramadan is about 20 days away, if not a little bit less, maybe 18 days away, depending on when you're watching this video. There's a messy middle, at least I call it the messy middle of Ramadan, where people, and I've noticed this in myself in the past, but this is where things tend to go sideways. The problem is you're still relying on a routine that has not yet been established. And so the way that you fix that is you have to be intentional about the way that you approach your week, at least for the next 10 days, because what you establish in these next 10 days is going to set the tone and set the routine for what you're going to be doing in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. If motivation is on a vertical line and your discipline is on a horizontal line, the thing is when Ramadan begins, they're going to have an uptick in the motivation. And then towards the first 10 days, that motivation is gonna dwindle. Now, if you don't address this, if you don't fix that, then what's going to happen, the last 10 nights going to come in. So the first half, the second half, the last 10 nights, you're going to be down here. And then you're going to be regretting the month. And so you need to fix this. The thing is, you can't rely on a productive and a progressive Ramadan in terms of your own progress, except that you put in a baseline for discipline. This is the minimum that you are willing to accept with relation to all the things that you've committed to during this month. Now, one of the things that's helpful is incorporating a schedule, right? This is your schedule that something that's happening consistently over the course of the week. I would say get a piece of paper, or if you can, get yourself a big wall whiteboard. This is just a vinyl whiteboard thing that I got off of Amazon, stuck it on my garage. It's one of those things that you see every day, your family sees every day. It's really important that, this is the second part, is that your family sees this, right? This idea of the schedule of what you're committed to, what your family's committed to. And so for them to be able to understand, hey, what's gonna be happening in these next 10 days or so. Now, normally, it's a good idea to have this throughout the year. These are the 3 blocks of time that essentially make this schedule work. So if you haven't already, I would say go ahead and draw yourself a nice 7 to 10 day grid. Days 11 to 20, although right now, as of me recording this video, tomorrow is day 13, right? So Sunday, this is Saturday morning when I'm recording it, just as an FYI. And so now the question is, this is what's coming up, but I want you to be real with yourself, right? Take into consideration these 3 time blocks, this 18-hour window. What has worked for you with relation to the things that you're able to do and fulfill your commitment towards, and is not getting in the way of your worship and your commitment to your training in jiu-jitsu and things like that. And at the same time, what's not working? In the evening, what I thought was going to work and has not been working. My older son, he has just been enrolled into Jiu-Jitsu World League. In order to prepare him for the training, we've got him training basically from Monday, Tuesday no-gi, Wednesday, Thursday no-gi, Friday, and Saturday during the day, right? So he's training almost 6 days a week, right? Now, there's a cost to that in the sense that the days that he's training, it becomes very difficult for me to train. All right. Now, not because I'm there, but because if he's in training, either I take him and my wife watches the second kid, or my wife takes him and I watch the second kid. His training begins at 5, finishes around 5:45, if not, the earliest we're home is like 6, maybe 6:15. That's iftar time. And so by the time we have our iftar, right, in terms of we break our fast, by the time I break my fast, it's 6:30, 6:45. My adult class here, the one that's closest to me, begins at 6:45. And I have yet to ever, I think once my entire time here in the 2 years that I've been living in this neighborhood, I've made that adult class on time once. Now, some might call it the purple belt syndrome, where you're skipping the warm-ups and stuff. Where and to be fair, I prefer the drilling as the warm-up as opposed to the jumping jacks and things like that. It's just more appropriate. I think if you're a white belt, you should do the regular warm-ups because you're not used to it, but that's a discussion for another time. But regardless, it's been very difficult to make the 6:45 class as close to me on time, mainly because of my kids' schedule. Now, one thing I could say is, hey, you know what, I'm going to stay back, but then he's got homework and stuff, so that's just not a practical solution. And so the next step is for me to now the challenge though is if I go to the 7:30 class that's further away, which is my quote unquote homeschool, which is where I started at, which is kind of a bummer because several instances I come in, it's just like, all right, you're almost done with the prayer services, which kind of led me to feel like, all right, I'm missing out on the spiritual aspect. And so for me to really get the full benefit of the spiritual aspects of the prayer services, which begin at about just before 8 o'clock in the evening, and they go to like about 10. So anyway, so the key thing is to understand what has worked and what has not worked. Now let's get into what we're going to be doing going forward. What are the non-negotiables? Now, when it comes to training though, what is your non-negotiable? What is the training window that you're aiming for, right? So with relation to jujitsu, like jujitsu is at a fixed time. So the question now is, how does that operate and on which days rather, right? I was hoping I could take the lunchtime classes at some point, but that's really not an option, except for maybe on a Thursday or a Friday where I sneak in something. But there's a whole issue of pickup from school, especially on a Friday. I could maybe make a Thursday class, but that's that's a challenge just in general during the month of Ramadan. The only daytime class is really Saturday for me. The question is for you, what works? Now, the other option is post worship, post Tarawih, which is the congregational prayers that a lot of Muslims attend to in the evenings. The question now is, after that, is that something that could work? Now, for me, like in the first 10 days, that was working out really well. I was missing my training in jiu-jitsu, so I was going to the gym instead. So towards the end of the first 10 days, like on day 8, day 7, day 8, day 9, there was this level of exhaustion that was starting to kick in. I think part of it was, one, the lack of sleep, and two, those late night training sessions, get to the gym around 10, 10:30, finish up by 11, 11:30, and then be home in bed by 12. Now, the issue that came into play was there was a work stuff that was overlapping with the other things. And that resulted in me going to bed around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, a couple of days back to back. And that just led into like, I'm tired. And then the following days is just like, all right, I show up to there, I'm sitting in the sauna, and I'm just like, yo, I can't do this today. And I just got up and went home. But then it was just like, the next day I was like, all right, I got to make it to the prayer services. Now it just felt like I'm playing catch up. So that's why it's really important for us to do this recalibration and evaluation of what's working, what's not working. And sometimes you even have to draw a hard line as to like, when are you going to let work get in the way of the things that you want to do or don't do. Take a note of this. It's a simple diagram. You don't have to put it on a whiteboard like I did, but I do highly recommend it in the sense of whether it be like a stick-on whiteboard, something visual, something visible that the whole family can see, and be like, yo, this is it. These are the 3 key 18-hour blocks of time that we are considering. So that way, because sometimes we're unaware of the other individuals' non-negotiables in the schedule, and so it's important for you to be aware of that. And so this way everybody's on the same page, and we each can be considerate of each other's goals, especially in the family, which is really important, because and otherwise there's going to be conflict, and neither is going to be able to achieve what they want to achieve, and there's going to be resentment, and it'll be a negative month. And so we don't want that. We want this month to be positive, filled with growth and progress. So I hope this idea of scheduling your training and being aware and cognizant of how you're approaching the month is something that resonates with you. If you have any questions, do let me know down in the comments below. I'll see you soon.